Hey guys, welcome to Tell It to Trevor. I'm your host, Trevor Shelley, and today on my podcast I have.
Jeremiah Richter.
Okay. What sparked your interest in the professional wrestling industry?
Oh, well, I've been a fan of wrestling my entire life. And really, I'd always thought about getting into it. It wasn't something I did early on in life. And like I said, I was just the biggest fan. And the more I just kept going along, the more I said, this is something that I really wanted to do. And there are some really good schools here in Buffalo. And about 6 years ago now, I decided to go to Grapplers Anonymous and was trained there and have been wrestling consistently ever since then.
So, who was your trainer over there?
It was Brandon Thurston and Mikey every night. And Brandon Thurston now has his own podcast called WrestleNomics. He's known all over with wrestling journalists. He reports on ratings for TV shows, attendance, different things like that. He's been on Chris Jericho's podcast, Eric Bischoff. So he's kind of transitioned away from the in ring of wrestling and training over to the podcasting and journalism side of things.
Who were your wrestling mentors growing up?
So I'm a bigger guy, but I was always a fan of Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. And then when Stone Cold came around, big fan of his. And also, I was a really big fan of the original ECW, the whole hardcore wrestling aspect of it. I try to incorporate that into my style today. Degeneration X, I was a huge fan of. So, really, yeah, like Austin, Bret, Stone Cold, Triple H, people like that.
What was your first wrestling match like?
Excuse me. So my first wrestling match, it was at a fair actually, and it was during the week. It was on a Wednesday at a fair, and this particular fair had wrestling every year. And I was not booked on the show, but I had went along in hopes that I could hopefully get a match on the show. At that point, I had been training about 6, 7 months. So, excuse me. So I went there, and a friend of mine one of the other wrestlers could not be there. So somebody who I trained with went to the promoter and put in a good word for me. And it ended up being myself and my one other trainer, Mikey, every night against two other people that I trained with by the name of Vinny Moon and Rise. And so my first match was an interesting one because my first time in the match, I got drop kicked directly in the face, nose bleeding everywhere. So I had to try to stop my nose from bleeding the entire match. And then afterwards, just took I was given a swanton bomb at the end, and the guy he landed directly just on me, knocked all the wind out of me. So that was my first experience into wrestling there. And it was great. It was a super fun experience.
How'd you get your start in the wrestling world?
Really, so I'm from Buffalo, New York, and really it was just going to shows, helping out, meeting everyone, and basically doing everything I could backstage. So I wrestle for one of the local companies here in Buffalo, ESW, Empire State Wrestling. And like I said, I got my start there. That really helped me kind of take off here locally. Like I said, it was going to shows, it was meeting people, it was help setting up chairs, it was help setting up the ring. And then when I was given an opportunity, just making the most of that opportunity. And also the school I come from, Grapplers Anonymous, they also started running shows, and they really helped to get me started too. And then from there, it was just meeting people from Rochester and other areas in New York, and I started traveling to other shows and meeting other people and eventually getting opportunities on those shows. So that's how I kept growing, kept getting on more shows from there. It was just all through networking and just going to shows, helping out any way that I could, security, ring setup, tear down, setting up the chairs. And then like I said, when that opportunity came along at these companies, I took advantage of it, and that's really how I got my start.
Um, what are your goals for the future in the wrestling business?
Well, lately I've been doing a lot of tag team wrestling lately. I'm part of a faction called Edge of Hope, and I regularly tag with one of our other members, Darren Crow. And tag team wrestling wasn't something really that I thought that I wanted to get into at first. I always pictured myself being more of a singles guy. But as I got more into tag team wrestling, it's something that I've really come to enjoy doing. And we've been having a lot of good tag matches lately. So we're looking to travel to different companies, make a name for ourselves, and basically win tag titles anywhere we can. We've already done it in a couple companies here in New York, and really we want to continue to grow our faction Edge of Hope. I want to continue as a tag wrestler and just go as far as we can and try to win as many tag titles as we can.
Can you describe your wrestling persona or character for someone that has not seen you wrestle before in person or online?
Yes, absolutely. So I go by the moniker the dominant force Jeremiah Richter. I am 6'6". I am 240 pounds. I am covered in tattoos, and I am really just a brawler enforcer type person. Love to brawl, no nonsense, all strikes in the ring. You know, nothing fancy. Just you get in the ring with me, and like I said, I hope you're ready for a fight because that's what I like to bring, and I like to incorporate some of that hardcore style into that too. In a company called Extreme Wrestling Force, I'm also the hardcore champion there. So I'm just a real no nonsense, big guy brawler.
Can you share a memorable moment from your wrestling career?
Oh man, there are a bunch, but probably one. So I mentioned, excuse me, I mentioned that I was the current hardcore champion at a company called EWF, which is Extreme Wrestling Force. And I'm a two-time champion there. And really, the second time that I won the title, it was really cool because it was a tournament style show. It was for the Hardcore Cup that they do every year, which is a trophy, and then the winner also became the new Hardcore champion. And the finals of that match was a fatal four way, I believe it was 4 or 5, I can't remember, and it came down to, like I said, myself and the person who was the hardcore champion at the time, and just everything we did in that match I was really proud of the way that we kind of told the story of the match, the way we incorporated the weapons into the match, and that win in particular was really cool for me because, like I said, made it through the tournament that day, made it through 5 other people that day. It was elimination style. The person who had the hardcore title, very, very talented. Somebody I, was hoping to get in there and mix it up with, and they brought it, and I brought it, and it was just a really memorable experience. Because also that same night, the other two guys in Edge of Hope had won the tag titles, and the other person in our group, Darren Crow, was already one of their other champions as well. It was called the Next Level Champion. So we all had titles that night, which was really, really cool. So we could all come out at the end of the night, raise our titles, let everyone know who we are.
Let's see. Can you describe the feeling of winning your first championship?
Yeah, so it was super cool. So my first championship was the first time I won that hardcore title. And just, when I first got into wrestling, I wasn't sure, what exactly my goals were. I knew I wanted to have some matches, but I didn't really know how far I wanted to take it. So just the fact that I was given an opportunity to wrestle for that title and then to win that title, it was just, validation that my hard work had paid off. It happened about, I'd say, so I've been training. I started training about 6 years ago. So this happened about a year and a half ago. So just after putting in all that time and all that work, it was a sense of accomplishment that, I didn't get into this for nothing and that I was able to win a title. And it was just, like I said, a really cool feeling. And it really wanted to make me push on and keep going and keep working harder and keep trying to win even more championships from there.
Yeah. How do you handle the mental and emotional aspects of wrestling?
That is actually a really great question because I always tell people who are getting into wrestling, yes, obviously it's very physical. It takes a toll on your body, but I think there's more of a mental aspect to it. And that's just, whether you're starting out training and for me, I didn't feel like I was catching on as fast as other people were. So there was mentally having to deal with that. And then it's once you start getting on shows, you're always going to come back. You're always critiquing yourself. You're always wondering, could you have done better? Could you have done this better? Could you have done that? You're taking feedback from a lot of different people. So I think it's kind of at the end of the day, taking a step back and just kind of thinking about what you did, taking the good with the bad and, thinking about what you could do going forward to, make yourself better. And there's certainly been times when I've been super down, things didn't go my way, but I just remember that, I worked hard to get to this point. Wrestling is something that I love and it's something that I'm passionate about. So I'm going to keep going. So I just try to remind myself that this is something really cool that I get to do, and I've worked very hard for it. And there's going to be highs and lows in anything you do in life. And the key is to just really keep going. So I really just continue to push myself forward and just, keep working harder, really.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start this segment called Trev Shuck. It is one of my favorite segments.
Cool.
It is basically like if you're in a business meeting, you have those round robin questions.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So mine, you have 50 seconds to answer 6 questions.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yes, let's do it. So you ask the questions. I have 60 seconds to answer them.
You have 50.
50 rather. Okay, sounds good. Let's do it.
So after I've asked the first question, the timer starts.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Favorite pre-show snack?
Favorite pre-show snack? Lenny and Larry's protein cookie that you can normally get at any gas station. That is my probably go-to pre-show snack.
Pre-show song?
Ooh, pre-show song. That's a good one. I'm a big Metallica fan, so I like to listen to the song For Whom the Bell Tolls. That's just a song that's always gotten me pumped up by them. That's usually my go-to.
Favorite wrestler growing up?
Growing up, Shawn Michaels.
Favorite sports team?
Well, being that I'm from Buffalo, I'm a big hockey fan, so I'm going to say the Buffalo Sabres. I know that it's tough. It's tough, but I've always had a soft spot for him, especially right now. It's tough being a fan.
Favorite color?
Well, I'm usually all decked out in black, but my favorite color is actually orange.
Favorite type of music?
Heavy metal.
Okay, you beat it with 2 seconds to spare.
Oh, all right. Awesome. Very cool. I like
The
that.
reason I said the Buddha Buffalo, people, I hope you guys don't take offense to me, but I'm a Nashville Predators fan.
Okay. Yep, no worries with that.
But also, I have a best friend that plays for the Charlotte Checkers down here, and then his older brother plays for the Rangers.
Oh, really?
Yes, so
That's really cool.
that's a reason why I booed the Sabres, just because of that reason.
Understandable. Understandable. Yeah, like I said, it's not this hasn't exactly been the Sabres season, but like I said, kind of been a lifelong fan, so I'm trying to stick with it for the time being.
Well, see, I used to be a Rangers fan a long time ago, and then my 2 favorite players both retired.
Okay, who's that?
Henrik Lundqvist and Marty St. Louis.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay. So after that, you kind of fell off following them a little
So,
bit, huh?
and then found out who Philip Forsberg was
Oh, yeah.
and became a fan of him. Even
Very
though
cool.
this year is not the year as much as I wish it was.
Yeah, yeah, don't we all?
Because we brought in Steven Stamkos thinking he'll help us, and
Yeah, it hasn't exactly worked out that way, huh? Yeah. You never know
well,
sometimes.
what were you saying?
Oh, I was saying you never know sometimes. Like I said, there's been plenty of times the Sabres have brought people in, you thought they were going to help the team, and just didn't work out that way, unfortunately.
You guys brought in Jeff Skinner thinking he would help out.
Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
my friend was telling me the only time that Buffalo had a chance was when they had Ryan O'Reilly and Jack Eichel on the same team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Eichel, yeah, that's somebody we're very excited about. He had a good first, like what his first year was great. Then he was kind of starting to drop off after that, and now Yeah, he's not too
Yeah,
popular when he comes back here, I'll tell you that much right now.
yeah. My friend when he had to play against the Checkers, because he has his own banner and everything here, for, like when you're walking around the arena, because
Yeah,
they always do a banner of all of, like the great players that have been on the team.
yeah,
So he has his own, but for me when I walk around, because me and him literally have the same look and everything.
yeah, yeah.
I have a full beard and shorter hair, and he has long hair and a beard. I mean a goatee. Let's see if I
So
can
they
find the
easily,
photo of.
yeah, so you guys are easily mistaken for each other then.
So back in 2019, when he won the championship in 2019, him and the players on the team said, "You look like you're his like little brother." Let's see, you there?
Oh,
You there?
sorry there. I'm sorry, my the connection cut out briefly. Sorry about that.
You're good. It's because I'm on the Wi-Fi on my currently. So here's a photo of me and my friend. We took it in January 19th after the game. We can straight up pass as like
Oops,
siblings.
looks like it's just connecting again.
Well,
Oh, you're back. Yep, I just saw it. I just cut out, but I'm just seeing. Oh yeah, yep, I see it.
so he's known me since I was 14. So, which if you guys have not tried, him and his brothers and his parent and his dad, I believe, have their own company called the Carrick Bros. It is a maple company up in Ontario, Canada, and then that's about it. Um, is it still saying reconnecting on your end? There we go.
Oh, okay, yep, I got you back now. Sorry about that. It cut out for a little bit there again.
All right, where did it cut you off at?
Like right after you showed me the picture on your cell phone.
Okay, so him and his family own a maple shop in Canada called Carrick Bros. Hence his
Oh,
last name
okay.
is Carrick.
Yeah.
Um, based in Ontario, Canada, his hometown. So I got to see one of the bottles in person because they were doing
Yeah.
like a giveaway, holiday giveaway with his stuff. So I got to see that bottle, and I was like, "That's really cool because it's shaped as a maple leaf."
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I asked him one night. I was like, "You need to ship me some." I was like, "Just let me know how much it is, and next time I see you, I'll pay you or whenever it is." Because he lives in downtown Charlotte in his apartment, so
Okay. Did you end up
not
getting
hard
some
to
yet?
track the dude down. Not yet.
Not yet.
He
Okay.
just got he just got back from Coachella. Is that what it's called?
Oh
The
yeah, yeah, yeah.
AHL
Coachella. Yeah.
Star. Yeah. Which I have another buddy that played there too, Andrew Podorowski. We call him Potsy
Oh,
for
nice.
short.
Yeah.
So
No, it's really cool. I'd be
yeah,
interested to know how that is, though, for sure.
yeah. I'm waiting on him to get back so I can see about either messaging his family up in Ontario on their company website or so. But what are the biggest challenges of being a professional wrestler outside of the ring?
Outside of the ring, the biggest challenges, I mean, for me, it's just keeping in that, mental and physical shape. I do believe, in wrestling, like I said, it's a physical sport. It's an aesthetic sport in a way. So, I think it's important to maintain your fitness. And I think that's not only important for yourself, but your opponent in the ring too. So really just, keeping in ring shape, making sure, I'm also big on still even though I've been wrestling, like I said, it's been about 6 years now. I still go to training regularly during the week. I think it's important to keep up on that. So you don't just want to fall in the habit of just going out there on the weekends and wrestling and that being your only ring time. Ring rust is a real thing. So it's important to, still keep up with training and still do all that. And then just try to find time to hit the gym. Like I said, just to stay physically in shape, because that's very important. Like I said, not just to yourself when you're in the ring, but also to your opponent. So just keeping in shape, keeping up with training. And yeah, I'd say those are the main things right there.
How do you feel about the business side of wrestling and the roles of shaping storylines and the promotions?
I like I've been in situations with stories where promoters presented me an idea, somebody presented me with a story, and then they asked for my feedback as well. I think that's important too, that the wrestlers themselves get a little bit of a say in it. They know their characters the best. So, like I said, I think it's it's kind of a give and take relationship. You work with them. It's important. Whatever the promoter asks, they're the boss. That's what you want to do. But like you said, you want to put your own personal touch on there. You want your character to do what they would do in certain situations and whatnot. So, it's taking whatever, you're given and doing it to the absolute best of your ability and doing it how your character would do it.
If you could wrestle any legendary wrestler from the past, who would it be and why?
Oh man, legendary wrestler from the past. Okay, this just randomly popped in my head. And I think I would like to wrestle Vader. And that is because, being a bigger guy, I like to have big man matches. I like to wrestle other guys that are as tall as me, bigger dudes. That's some of my favorite matches. And Vader was just a big guy, intense guy. I heard he used to hit really hard, which I really like. So I've never really thought about that. That name never popped in my head before you just asked me that question. But just with his, like I said, with his intensity that he brings in the ring,
Yeah.
everything he's capable of. I mean, Vader was an absolute beast. And, for his size, he could do some awesome things in the ring just with his high flying, so I think I would like to have a match with Vader. I think that'd be awesome. I think he would really bring it. I think that would bring out even more in myself. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Vader on that one.
If you could attend a wrestling seminar with any wrestler, who would you pick?
Oh, that's a great question. I've done a couple seminars in my day, and I have to say my favorite one was with Jay Lethal. And that's just because, he's just so knowledgeable on wrestling and loved wrestling so much. And it ended up being probably like a 5 or 6 hour seminar, which was really cool. Um, just because, if I could just sit and listen to someone talk, I'd probably say William Regal, because everyone talks about Regal and what a great mind he is for wrestling. And when there's people at WWE shows, extras working backstage, William Regal likes to just share his knowledge with anyone. And I think being able to sit there and just listen to what Regal has to say and really pick his brain and ask questions, I think I would get a ton out of that. And I think, there are many people that have gotten a lot out of just sitting with William Regal and picking his brain and getting his perspective on different things in wrestling.
Yeah, because I remember hearing when evaluating people at the performance center, he puts a clipboard up and blocks you, but watches your feet the whole time.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that.
If you could have a wrestling legend as your mentor, who would you choose?
Honestly, I'd probably say Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that's just for the character work alone. Like, he was just, he knew who, once he became Stone Cold Steve Austin, he knew who that character was and he knew what people liked about him. So I would take him as a mentor in terms of the character aspect, because the character aspect, that's so important in wrestling. You want something that's relatable to people, whether they love it or hate it. You really want to get a reaction. And obviously, he always got a reaction. He knew who he was. He knew who the Stone Cold character was. So just in terms of, like, yeah, just character work and the performance aspect, I would love to, be mentored by Stone Cold Steve Austin.
All right. What's your opinion on the wrestling crossover events with other sports and entertainment industries?
Great question. Obviously, when Bad Bunny came over, he had a great match. He blew my mind there. When Pat McAfee first came over, he had a match with. I was just talking about this with someone the other day. He had that match with Adam Cole, which I thought was great. So as long as people come in and they have an appreciation for wrestling and they respect it and they put their all into it, and being that these are mainstream people, it's going to bring a bigger audience, and hopefully some people will come over because of them. Hopefully some people came over because of Bad Bunny, because of Pat McAfee, and then they became fans of wrestling. But so far the people that have come in, like those people, have they've really respected wrestling. They've taken it very seriously. So in terms of that, when people come over and do that, I'm 100% cool with it.
Um, what advice would you give to an aspiring wrestler?
I would say, to really survive in wrestling, it's got to be something that you truly love and that you truly want to do. Because, like I said, especially early on in training, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, especially in those first couple of years. You're going to train for a while, you're going to think you got it, and you're going to say, you know what? I think I finally understand this. And then you're just going to have a match that completely goes wrong. And you're going to say, well, I guess I don't know anything. This sucks. I want to quit. It's very, very easy to get frustrated in wrestling. But the key is to just keep going, because not everyone, very few people start training in wrestling and just get it right off the bat. Yeah, there's a few, but, they're few and far between. And a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people come in that are now excellent, that struggled when they first came in. And it's just everyone learns at a different pace in wrestling. That's what I would also tell people. Don't get frustrated if you start on the same day as someone else and they advance quicker than you. Everyone learns at their own pace. So it's really important to just keep a level head and keep remembering that, as you keep getting more reps, as you keep getting more matches, that's what helps you get more experience and helps you get better. So it's really just, everyone's going to get down on themselves, and that's fine. But it's important to, pick yourself up and keep going, because, if you keep going, the payoff is 100% worth it. And like I
Yeah.
said, always going to be highs and lows down the road, but you just got to, you just got to keep going and remember this is what you worked for. And just, like I said, don't give up on that passion and just keep going for it.
Um, can you talk about a significant rivalry you had and how it helped you grow as a wrestler?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of in the middle of something like that right now. So in Erie, Pennsylvania, there's a company called Erie's All Stars of Wrestling, and I came in there and automatically started a feud with one of their mainstays there, Black Sheep Bennett Cole, and he brought in a tag team partner, somebody from Buffalo who I'm very familiar with, the rock star Robbie Vegas, and this is kind of one of the first real feuds that I got into. So how it helped me there was it almost helped with my character as well, because I'm doing a lot of promos for these matches to talk about these matches, and I really am thinking about the story aspect of it and what's best for the story and how can we tell this story better. And it's just, like I said, we've wrestled a lot and this feud's been going on for a couple months, so it's just it's thinking of different ways to keep entertaining people, to keep the feud going. And like I said, it's helped with character work as well, in terms of doing promos and videos that talk about these matches. So, like I said, and it's also helped me learn from them as well. And so, like I said, working with the same people for so long, you really want to keep trying new things. So, just that aspect of it alone, of keeping the matches fresh, keep doing things to keep people engaged in the story, that's what that whole thing has really helped me out with.
Let's see. What was it like working with a particular wrestler that you really clicked with in the ring?
Oh yeah, I've had a couple experiences like that. There's a particular wrestler from the main school that I train at, Grapplers Anonymous, and he started probably about, I want to say maybe about 3 years ago. And right away when we started training together and he started practicing different moves on me, we just felt that we had this chemistry and we knew that we always wanted to have a match together on a show. and that finally happened over the summer. And it was actually his first match back from injury. But just, getting in there and, you start having the match and things just start to click. And it's a really good feeling because it's somebody that no matter what, you're always going to have a good match with them. You guys are on the same page and just, everything you do clicks and flows well. And yeah, that's not always going to happen. I've had plenty of matches where there was somebody that I really wanted to wrestle, and after we got to the back, we just said, maybe we didn't click as well as we were supposed to. So sometimes you think you're going to click with someone and you don't, but when you really click with someone, it's a really good feeling because you just know that, it's going to be a good match. You're going to get that best out of that person, and that person is going to get the absolute best out of you.
Can you describe the training process and what was the most challenging part of learning to wrestle?
Oh man, really the most challenging part was, my training was you start out learning the fundamentals, then you start learning, different parts of a match and how to structure a match. And really the thing that I struggled with and I see people really struggling with is, when they start to have matches, really just, you know, knowing who your character is and kind of not getting lost in the match to try to think about what's next. You really want the match to flow evenly, and it's not really even necessarily about the moves that you do. It's about what you do in between. It's how you interact with the crowd. It's how you portray your character. And that's really the toughest part because at first, you're just trying to remember the match and get through it and hopefully it went well. But it's really important to get to that point when you can just go through it with really not even thinking about it. If that makes any sense, you know what has to be done, but you're not thinking about it. It's just everything feels naturally. Like I said, who your character is. It's how you interact with the audience in between the moves that you do. Like I said, and it's all about the story you tell in the match. So that just grasping all that and putting it together, I think is a lot for most people. It was a lot for me, and it's really just feeling comfortable with yourself and feeling comfortable with your abilities. But just yeah, like I said, just getting through a match and like not having to think too much about it, and really just letting people know who you are, interacting with the crowd, and just doing what you think that your character would do.
Let's see. Next question is, what is your favorite gear that you have ever had made?
Oh, yeah, so I have a couple pieces of gear, but probably my favorite is the first ever real pair of gear that I got. It was made by a gear maker in upstate New York who unfortunately has passed. It was about 2 years ago. But he made me a pair of tights back over the pandemic. I had been wrestling for about a year when the pandemic happened and the shutdown happened, and I didn't really have real gear that I was wearing before then, and he made me a set of gear, and just the quality of it and the fact that he really didn't even charge me a lot because he was a wrestler himself, so he probably undercharged when it came to working with other wrestlers. But those, I've had a couple pairs of gear since then that I've since thrown away because it's fallen apart or was not made really great, or I've had to take it to a tailor. But the gear I got from this person has lasted me ever since. I still wear it to this day. It's probably about 3 years old. That pair of gear is definitely still in rotation. And just like I said, the quality of it and everything was great. So yeah. So like I said, unfortunately that person has since passed, but they did an amazing job and made a lot of gear for a lot of people on TV too.
Where can they find you on social media?
Yes. So my if you just go to Facebook, search Jeremiah Richter, it's facebook.com/ Jeremiah Richter 82. And then on Instagram, it is at Jeremiah_Richter 82. And those are the two places that I post the most on.
All right, and then thank you, Jeremiah, for being on the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me on. This was a good talk.
Yeah, and then guys, we're gonna give a shout out to my little sponsors. Apple City Championship Wrestling over in Midnight, North Carolina. They have their 1 year anniversary show, which this episode will be out after that will happen. And Wrestling Evolution over in Denver, North Carolina, I want to say. And then TBD Wrestling, which is coming soon in March, and it's owned by Bojack from DPW.
Oh, very nice.
Yep. And guys, just a reminder, I will say this every episode. We are doing a t-shirt giveaway for wrestlers and fans. It is on the link tree on my social medias. So if wrestlers want to enter in it, that's been on the podcast, go ahead and enter in it. And fans that want to enter it, go ahead and enter it. All you gotta do is your first and last, if you're a wrestler, your ring name, and then your Instagram and your shirt size.
Very cool.
Because we had a professional company make us 5 different logos that when people enter into the contest, they get to pick which one.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah. Which will also, if you guys see, you'll see me at WrestleCade with Corey Dillinger from GTS Wrestling and up in New York Wrestling, somewhere in New York. And Tommy, what's his last name? Just talking to the dude this morning.
Don't you hate when that happens?
Tommy Okami. Sorry, Tommy, if I just not pronounce your name right, last name right. He will be there too. They will be at my table selling their merchandise. Welcome to take pictures with us all. And we'll also have the designs after the contest ends. If you're at WrestleCade, you guys can buy the t-shirts for $20, 8x10s, or $5. So
yeah, well, good luck at WrestleCade. That's going to be awesome.
Yes, because I don't even know who's announced yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything either.
Because they just announced for vendors signups and everything. So it is going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, it'll be a good time for sure.
Yeah. All right. Thank you again for being on the podcast.
No, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.